What will the future of real estate look like? Is conventional real estate dying? Join us while we dive into conversations to explore that very question and attempt to demystify current and potentially new real estate trends with the disruptors themselves. Good morning, Trevor. I am excited to hear your sort of unconventional story. And I guess that's the purpose of FutureRE, is talking to people like yourself who go against the grain and doing things unique and different. So I am really thrilled that you're taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thanks for having me on. And I look forward to chatting with you about Belize and growing up in Calgary. We have a lot in common. So
Yes.
I think this will be a
Well,
fun chat.
I'm really excited for it. Like, how do you leave Calgary and start a brokerage in one of the most beautiful places in the world? I mean, I've been one time, as I told you before we hit record, and it was stunning. It was 10 years ago, but I don't think it was nearly as developed as it is now.
It's really taken off right now. It looks a lot different now than it would have when you visited 10 years ago. So, a really good friend of mine that I grew up with, his name is Will Mitchell. He's really big on YouTube. His YouTube channel, I got to throw out his YouTube channel before I get into
Yeah,
anything else.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's Will Mitchell Belize. He's really the person that got me out here at the beginning. I grew up in Calgary, went to school with Will in Victoria, BC, did an undergrad there. After that, I went out, I worked on Parliament Hill for a little bit. I was going to get into politics and then
Yeah,
totally
I
pivoted.
saw that on your CV on LinkedIn, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, okay.
So from there, I went back to Calgary. I did commercial real estate brokerage for a long stretch, which was good. Had some great years, had some hard years when I was doing
Yeah.
downtown office leasing with 30% vacancies. And during this whole time, Will was out in Belize and he was getting things set up and calling me almost every week saying, you got to come out here. You got to come check it out.
Yes, I love that. We all need
So
a will in our lives, you know?
yeah, exactly. So I got to give him the credit. He was the one that pushed me to make the initial trip down here. This is kind of a funny story, but there was one particular night I had a little too much to drink, and
That
I
never
don't even
happens.
never happens.
Never happens.
So I don't even remember talking to Will. But the next morning, I opened my inbox, and there was a flight leaving to Belize that I don't remember booking.
Oh
That
my
flight left in
gosh.
6 hours, and I got on that flight. This is back in 2018. And that
Okay,
was my
pre-COVID.
first time showing up here in Belize. And from there, I had to wind down the commercial real estate brokerage. I was doing industrial. So I parked my license. It was a big gamble. I didn't know if it was going to work
Hmm.
out or not. I thought maybe I'd be back in Calgary 6 months after giving it a shot, but the stars aligned and COVID hit and we ramped up our marketing. And then all of a sudden our brokerage just started to expand. And we've now got one of the biggest Remax brokerages in not just Belize, but in the Caribbean and Central America.
Amazing. So where all do you service in Central America then?
So Remax is all over, but we're just in Belize and our
Okay.
primary market is Ambergris Key, Belize.
That doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it?
No, it takes a little bit of practice.
Yeah. Well,
So
that is really neat. So, did you spend your COVID in Belize?
I did. Yeah, it was an
So
amazing
lucky.
place to be for COVID.
Yeah, I'm really jealous. I had two little humans during COVID and was working remote as everyone was. Not fond memories.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those were tough times for everybody. We're definitely lucky to be here in Belize where things were a little bit more open. And of course,
Mhm.
the weather was a little bit nicer. But what COVID really did for us was when everyone else sort of put their head in the sand and didn't know what was happening, we really ramped up our marketing. So we had everyone stuck at home in front of a computer and
Mhm.
we were doing a lot of land sales sight unseen. So we started to get a lot of inbound inquiries, and that really allowed us to
To
grow from
grow.
there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that is really neat. And from some of those inbound land sales, have people now built their vacation homes or moved there? Or
Yeah.
what kind of trends have you seen since then?
We do specialize quite a bit in land and development. So we sold, without exaggeration, thousands of lots out here. We've helped a ton of people go through the build process. So a lot of our clients are either back in Canada or the US. They'll purchase land and we will walk them through the whole build process. So we have in-house architects, project manager team who's giving them
Wow.
weekly video updates, qualified contractors, and then property managers that will help them rent it out. We have tons of clients that are just looking to escape the rat race back to Canada and the
Hmm.
US. We also
Yes.
have a number of people that just want a place to use part of the time, rent out when not using it, and then maybe make it their permanent residence when they're ready to retire. So,
Oh my goodness, I love
yeah.
that. And I would assume, anyway, one of the largest risks for international buyers purchasing land with the goal to build is not knowing and trusting any of the sort of like local talent. And so you've totally
Yeah.
mitigated that with your services. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it would be very hard for someone to come in here without having the personal connections,
Yeah,
without knowing, like any place, there's going to be a lot of bad contractors
of
and a few
course.
good ones.
We have those in Calgary too,
So,
folks.
yeah, exactly. But Belize in general, it's the legal system is a lot safer than most legal systems in Central America. The
Hmm.
main reason is because it used to be an actual British colony. So
Okay.
Belize used to be British Honduras. It's still part of the British Commonwealth, but because of this, they have a British common law legal system. So what
Mm,
that means is most countries in this part of the world have two-tiered ownership rights, where a foreigner doesn't have the same ownership rights as a local, like Mexico, for example.
mhm.
Whereas in Belize, a property owner can actually hold the land title under their name or their company's name. And English is the primary language. Our currency is pegged to the US dollar, and it's a bit of a tax haven as well. So those are
Oh,
some of the reasons why people are looking to come here.
those are a lot of pros. I haven't heard one con yet. Like that all sounds very good. What other sort of trends have you noticed then? Because I think I referenced the
Yeah.
Canadian bar on the beach that's no longer there. Are you starting to see more big commercials, so like Starbucks and like the Hyatts or whatever, big hotels and stuff come to Belize? Or is it becoming more westernized? Or what does the development landscape look like?
That's a great question, Amy. In terms of fast food restaurant chains, we have none. So
Oh, I
there's no
love that. Music
McDonald's,
to my
no
ears.
Starbucks. It's all mom and pop, local organic food here. The big hotel chains have entered the market. So
Mhm,
where I'm sitting right now, I'm in a place called Mahogany Bay Village. We
mhm.
have a Hilton Curio hotel that takes up two of the streets here. We have a Four Seasons that's building on a private island called Key Chapel. We have two Marriotts here. So that
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
shows you where we're at. We're still a very
Yes.
young market. We're still very undersaturated, but the big hotel chains, their underwriters have done all the research and they've
Yes.
they've come to the conclusion that it's time to enter the market here. So,
That's both a good and bad thing, in my opinion, right? Like it's showing that if a big hotel chain has done their due diligence and they see
yeah,
it's a viable spot, that's awesome. As long as you can kind of keep the local sort of like
oh,
island
totally.
vibe and the way that you operate, that's awesome. That's really good.
Yeah, like it's a very laid back island. Everyone's driving around in golf carts. Most of the units are smaller boutique resorts, Airbnbs, or just smaller, lower bedroom count, not big hotel chains. But we are now getting the Marriott's, Hilton, Four Seasons. We have a Six Senses that's breaking ground on the west coast of Ambergris Key here soon. So we're definitely
Neat.
emerging.
Yeah. What kind of ROI can people sort of expect if they were to buy something already there or land and build? Like, is it
For
kind of
sure.
like worth it for them? Like, do they see the returns or is it more kind of like a long play?
Great question. So I'm the perfect guy to answer this because I've personally built houses in Tulum and here, and I can compare the markets pretty well. So we're very undersaturated here in Belize. In the inventory on Ambergris Key, we're at about 2,400 units, and we're the fastest growing market in the Caribbean by overnight tourist arrivals.
Whoa.
So how they track that, it's just people getting off airplanes coming here. In 2024, we had roughly 30% more tourists than we did the previous year, but the amount of units in the inventory haven't kept up with the demand in overnight tourist arrivals.
Hmm.
So a two-bedroom Airbnb that I built here has done much better in terms of nightly rental rates in the vacation rental market and occupancy rates than the one that I did in Tulum. And mainly just because the markets directly above us, like Tulum and Playa del
Hmm.
Carmen and Cancun, they're just being flooded with thousands and thousands of units. So
Yes.
it's much harder to compete in those markets, I found.
I mean, that's music to most investors' ears, really. Like we have some rental properties and stuff. Is there services that you provide or you know people that provide? So one of the biggest pain in my butts is finding like a reliable cleaner, for instance. And I
Yes,
know that sounds
definitely.
like ridiculous, but do you help mitigate some of that as well?
Yeah, so we'll walk our clients through the whole process. I'll use myself as an example
Mhm.
again. So I have a property manager that does everything from helping the guests rent a golf cart when they arrive at the airport. She'll do the cleaning before and after, which is paid by the guests when they go to checkout. They'll book their snorkeling tours. It's really just a full concierge service to the point where I even deleted Airbnb off my phone because it was buzzing every time they were chatting and I didn't even want to get the
I love
notifications.
that. That is so good. Like the guest feels really like handheld throughout the process because going to a new country, and I'll use when I went to Belize, I mean, I was way
Yeah,
younger and my risk tolerance was way different. But it was kind of
totally.
scary because I didn't know anything about Belize besides that we got this really cheap flight and we're like, okay, let's go. But it's changed a lot. And so if I had somebody holding my hand now and saying like, we went to Key for a day, we did a day trip there. Is that,
Nice.
yeah,
Love
okay.
love
It's
Key
all
Calgary.
coming
Yeah.
back to me now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right, but
No,
like,
that's it.
oh,
Key
is
Calgary.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there yesterday.
Oh, fun. And it's cool. There's some cool stuff, but unless you're like talking to some people that live there, like I
Yeah.
don't know, I found it a bit challenging. So that's great. And then maybe you get repeat guests, or maybe then they get the itch and they want more of Belize.
Yeah, for sure. And it's still a very young market. It's not perfect. It's
Yeah.
not the place that someone would come if they were looking for shopping malls and perfectly paved roads. When you pay $90 a year in property tax and you have
Oh
no
my
capital
gosh,
gains tax.
$90? Stop it. That is
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. So on a property that was appraised at 740,000 US, I pay about $90 a year in property tax. My point being, it's still an emerging country, and you can't expect that much in terms of
Yeah.
infrastructure when it's yeah
So cheap.
when that it's so cheap. Exactly.
That is awesome. So do you
Yeah.
spend full time? Are you a resident now in Belize or?
Yeah. So I'm a permanent resident. No longer a resident of Canada. It's
Oh,
will always
scary.
be my yeah.
Yeah.
I go back and visit. I'll come back for the Stampede, see
Mhm.
friends and family. But I've been Belize full time since 2019 now.
All right. I love it. You drank the
Yeah,
Kool-Aid. You know it really well. So that's good. There's no better person to talk to than about Belize and about leaving sort of North America, Canada, the US because you've done it. I think
I
it's
yes,
helpful when somebody's done it, right? They've already gone through all the hardships.
absolutely. And also having gone through the build process myself, it's one thing for somebody to give advice and to help
Mhm.
clients go through that process, but it's a whole different thing if you've gone through it yourself and you know where the challenges are going to be.
You share your
I
lessons learned, right?
exactly
That's awesome. Okay, so say for instance, somebody is curious now. They're
right.
like, okay, I didn't even think about Belize, wasn't on my radar. They're gonna go down, they're gonna tour around. What would you suggest that they do first?
Before arriving, I would try to get the person to do as much research as possible just to make sure it's going to be a good fit for them. Best source for that is, like I mentioned before, my colleague Will Mitchell's YouTube channel. I would also say is what would be the purpose of their investment? Like if they're looking for a lot of land and they want acres and they want to be secluded, they may want to look on the mainland of Belize where land is less expensive on a price per square foot. If they're looking for investment and they want to be on the beach and they want to be able to go snorkeling and diving and all
Mhm.
of that, Ambergris Key, San Pedro Town is definitely where they should come. And I'd always advise people to just come, get lost, go exploring on your own, and then from there, start looking at specific opportunities. The other thing, too, is there's really not a lot of inventory that's already built and complete. So
Okay.
oftentimes our clients do go through the build process of purchasing
Mhm.
land and building.
What does the cost per square foot sort of look like? Or what, if you could provide a range anyway of build costs, like what
Yeah,
people could expect?
like anything, there's going to be a big
Variances?
range.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can buy prefabricated units on the mainland and have them shipped here for really inexpensive, or you can do a custom luxury concrete villa, which on the high end, you might be
Yeah.
around $300, $350 a square foot at the max.
Okay, that's really
Um,
still not that expensive when you compare it to some
yeah,
other
it's,
places, right? Like in
oh,
Canada
for
and the
sure.
US.
And if you compare it to other markets like Cayman Islands and some
Hmm.
of the more mature markets here, it's even on the high end, it's going to be a lot more affordable than those markets. On a lower quality build, so I've built stick build wood houses. I did an 800 square foot house, and my total build cost was about 170,000 US, and that was for
Hmm.
everything. That was for the house, the
Yeah.
appliances, the landscaping, furniture, ACs, everything. So I think
Okay.
that comes out to somewhere around $220 a square foot.
I'm thinking about it in our Canadian dollar. And I'm like, that's still not terrible because US and
Yeah,
Canadian dollars, depending on the day, is not
right.
awesome lately. But even when you do the conversion rate, that's still fairly reasonable.
Yeah, and it also depends on who I'm talking to and where they're from. It's mostly Americans that are coming here because there's all
Yeah.
these direct flights from major hubs in the States.
Yeah.
So I might be talking to a guy from California who goes, "Oh my God, my build costs are like $800 a square foot out here."
Yeah.
Or I may be talking to a guy from Texas who can build at a better price per square foot. So it's all a matter of comparing with other markets.
That's pretty
Sorry,
good.
go.
No, it's really good. Have people missed the boat? I know you said it's still sort of growing, but people haven't missed the boat yet. Like it's not Bitcoin, right? Like we've probably missed the boat.
I love that question. So the property that I was just telling you about, that 800 square foot property that I built,
Hmm.
so it's located on the west coast of Ambergris Key in the Secret Beach area. When I purchased the lot, I bought it for 18,500 US, but back then there was nothing there. So the
Yeah.
lot's worth about 80 grand now. And I have a lot of people that say, I wish I would have bought back then when you bought.
Hmm.
But the reality is all the big, really transformative things are yet to happen. So I know they'll be saying the same thing a few years from now as the market continues to evolve.
Oh my goodness. That is like, it's so funny that you say that because they probably still won't buy at the 80K and they probably won't buy at the 160. And then, but they're going to be saying the same stuff. And it's just like, get out of your way. Like, just do
Yeah.
it then.
You know what's
So,
funny too is I've always been into taking action. So I'm kind of ready, fire, aim, which was definitely my approach when I bought that piece of
yes.
land. I
Yeah.
didn't know if I was going to build on it at first. Once I started building, I didn't know if I was going to be specing the house just to flip it or renting it. I was just right place, right time, and the market. Like we have so much momentum now that it worked out, and now I'm just trying to build as many of these as I can out here.
That's awesome. Okay, so this is a question I'm not sure if you're going to know the answer, and that's okay. But like
Okay.
for financing, so somebody from
Yeah.
Canada, let's say, how would it work for financing? Is there brokers there that they would use, or brokers here that they would use, or do the brokers talk
Good question.
together? Or what's our first step? So I'm interested, let's say,
Yeah.
but I don't know what to do. So I talk to you. What do you say?
So banking in Belize is a little bit different. The big difference is they have much higher reserve requirements. So for every dollar deposited into a Belize bank, they have to keep around 24 cents of that dollar held in reserves. So for that reason, very stable banking system, but not as easy to get a mortgage through a Belize bank. Also for that reason, we sell a lot of properties that have seller financing.
Mm,
So those lots, for example, there's seller financing available where the land developer that's selling the lots can finance at 25% down over a 30-year term. And the interest rate tends to fluctuate depending on the down payment. So
mhm,
at 25% down, they'll do a 9% fixed rate, at 35% down, 8%, 45% down, 7%, and 50% or more down, they'll do a 6% rate. And then when it comes to the construction, most builders will do it in phased payments. So they'll break down the full build, they'll get all the building material costs, and there'll be a series of draw payments throughout the build.
mhm.
There are banks here that will do construction financing if those draw payments are going to be hard for someone to swing and they want to build
Yeah.
right away. There's a lot of different options. So there are Belizean banks that will finance. We tend to prefer the seller financing because it's a little bit easier, but there's always ways to get creative.
Yeah, I like that creative financing. I've been really digging like right now Cody Sanchez. I don't know if you know who she is, but she always
No.
talks about seller financing and creative financing, and she looks at it for purchasing businesses like small. She's like the Main Street
Oh,
Millionaire author. Um,
I have heard of her. Yeah.
yeah, she's a badass honey
Yeah.
badger. I really like her. But it sounds very similar to what you guys are saying down there. Like when there's a will, there's a way, so you can
Yeah.
kind of get it sorted.
Yeah, exactly. The big land developer that we work with that's created all these subdivisions. I'm talking about the Secret Beach area now.
Yeah.
They've set the whole thing up where they have full floors of office space with account executives that process the monthly payments on
Oh,
using
wow.
automatic clearinghouse or a credit card.
Hmm.
Our clients get there's no prepayment penalties, so if they ever want to make an additional payment, it goes straight to the principal. They
Hmm.
get monthly statements of account, so we've made the whole process as easy as it could be.
You're almost spoon feeding people at this point. Like, that's so great. You've removed all the obstacles.
Yeah, the financing was definitely a big obstacle.
100%. Where do you see things going there in the next sort of like 3 to 5 years if you had a crystal ball, which we won't hold you to this?
We're definitely maturing as a market. If I actually turn the camera around now, I'm right next to our Remax office. We built this place for a Michelin star restaurant based in Tulum to come out here. This is the Pool Club.
That's cool.
So I'm going to answer your question with a video
Okay, I
because
love
in three
it.
to 5 years, I think we're going to
Yeah.
see more stuff like this out here.
All
So that's
right.
our office right there that we built here in Mahogany Bay Village. I'm expecting
Beautiful.
the overnight tourist arrivals to continue to increase, especially with all of these new direct flights that have been added. And again, we're still a very young market. It's like if you got into a time machine and went back to Maui in the 1970s, that's kind of where we're at right now.
You're hyper focused on the development and sales of Belize. You do other things out there? Are you a jack of all trades? Because you're integrated now in the local scene. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
mentioned the restaurants. Like, all right, cool. Do you do restaurants? Like, tell me more.
I would never in a million years try to run a restaurant myself.
Yeah, yeah.
I
You enjoy them, but not gonna run it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm specialized in real
Hmm.
estate in all the different factors. So whether
Yeah.
it's land banking, whether it's someone that's looking to purchase a property just to escape Canada and live a good quality of life,
Yes.
whether it's someone who's looking to just get the maximum ROI on a vacation nightly rental,
Hmm.
or maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's someone who's looking to use the property part of the time and eventually make it their full
Hmm.
time residence. I specialize in all of that.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. Does WestJet still fly direct there? I
They
haven't
do,
checked.
yeah.
They do?
So
Okay.
it's seasonal, but WestJet does have direct flights from Calgary.
Well, that's great to know. I have been obsessed with Costa Rica. I talk about Costa Rica a lot. Do you see lots of families down visiting to Belize?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I have my like tiny people that follow me around begging for things all the time. Not
Yes.
just kidding. So, would you recommend Belize even to a young family like mine?
Absolutely. I was just with two families on the boat doing tours just
Okay.
yesterday. It's much less of a party destination than say Tulum, which is
Hmm.
Tulum is only a 3 hour drive north of us. It
Yeah.
is a lot more laid back and very, very safe on the island of
Hmm.
Ambergris here. So
Yeah.
I
Okay,
would
that was my
definitely
next
recommend it.
question. As a
Yeah.
mom, I feel like my risk tolerance is like almost non-existent anymore. So I'm always like
Right.
worried about my little guys. And that's why I love Nasara so much, is because it's chill, it's laid back. Like I said, I'm from a little
Yeah.
island in Canada. When I'm on vacation, I just want to have like a
Yes.
drink and chill and know my kids are happy and they can jump in the pool and everything's safe and the food, they're not going to get sick. So same thing in Belize. They're good.
Like any place, there's going to be more crime in some areas than other
Of
areas.
course. Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, even Costa
most,
Rica, I mean, there's pockets
yeah,
of bad
yeah. So
apples.
most of the crime takes place in Belize City, and more specifically on the south side of Belize City. But
Hmm.
we're located in San Pedro Town, Ambergris
Mm.
Key. Could not be more laid back. If you look at the violent crime statistics, there's almost no murders that have taken. There's a few in the past 5 years, but it was more like domestic assault. It's very rare that a tourist.
Hmm.
Yeah, you'd really have to go looking for trouble to find trouble here.
Okay, I love that so much. Well, I'll have to float this by my husband, and maybe you
Yeah.
never know, we'll do a little Belize vacation because we love. Is there good surfing in Belize?
No surfing. The reason is because we have the Belize Great Barrier Reef a few hundred
Right.
yards off the shore.
Mhm.
So it's one of the best places in the world for snorkeling, diving, scuba, boating. But
Hmm.
that reef also acts as a barrier. So for that
Right.
reason, everything within
Hmm.
the reef is like a big swimming pool.
Which is also great.
It's amazing. And
I
it
mean,
protects
it's
us
hard to
from the
complain.
hurricanes as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So how's the weather down there? I'm from an island and I'm familiar.
Yeah.
You're going to probably get a hurricane every now and then, but.
So we are in the Caribbean. We'll catch the odd tropical storm. They
Mhm.
usually do pass north of us and then make landfall in Gulf of America, I guess we're calling it now, or Gulf of
Oh
Mexico.
gosh, yeah,
So,
dear.
yeah. So last year there was a number of named storms, but they all
Mhm.
just barely missed us. When we do get a storm, there's two kinds of damage. There's wind damage, which is pretty easy to mitigate with the proper building techniques, but what really gets you is the storm surge. And we're lucky
Yes.
to have that reef because the tallest recorded wave we've ever had is only 5 feet because that reef really does act as a barrier.
Again, I'm hearing a lot of pros about Belize. Okay, so if somebody wants to know more about
Yeah.
investing in Belize, how can they contact you or you and Will? What would be the best way to go about it?
If someone wants to get a hold of me, I'm really easy to find on Google. Just Trevor Stack Belize. My website will come up. I would definitely suggest checking out Will's YouTube channel. If you go on YouTube and just type Will Mitchell Belize, it'll pop up. And I would say his YouTube channel is the best source of information that you'll find,
I
anything
love
Belize
that.
related.
Everything's on YouTube these days.
Yeah.
We follow the Bucket List family. So you should check
Okay.
them out because they are like a nomad family essentially, but they go to
Nice.
the coolest destinations and they get tons of viewers. They're really an interesting family. So you guys should collab maybe.
Yeah, so we have been doing a lot of collaborations. So we did
Mhm.
a really big collab with Passport Heavy. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but
No.
they're huge. So they're one of the biggest YouTube travel channels. We had the Passport Heavy guys out here. There's a guy named Christian from Lost LeBlanc. He's got a huge following. We did a
Yeah.
collaboration with him. We're building a house with him out in Secret
Oh
Beach.
my
Will and
gosh,
him are
that's
building a
cool.
house. We love to do collaborations with these big travel channels.
It's a great way to expand the audience, right? Like we've
Yeah.
been looking into Mauritius. I didn't know much
Yeah.
about Mauritius, but the Bucket List family was there. They were all trying to surf and they did like a little cooking class. And I mean, it was like clicking a lot of things that personally we look for. So now we've put it
Nice.
on our like, well, we have to do a family trip to Mauritius. I like looked how far it is.
Amazing.
It's a bit of a jaunt. So maybe a
It
couple
is,
more
yeah.
years when the kids are a bit older because I can't remember off the top of my head, but the flight from Calgary to Belize isn't that long, is it? Like 5 hours? Is that
No,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's about 5.5 hours
Yeah.
with the direct flight, so it's pretty easy.
Easy peasy is what you want, honestly, when you have
Exactly.
tag-alongs.
Yeah, I have one on the way actually. It'll be my first one, so
Oh
I'm
my gosh, I'm so
excited
excited.
to experience that.
Congratulations. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's everything and more, I think, than what people say, you know? Like the good, the bad, the ugly. The good is just so amazing. Yeah, it's cool. And they start to do what you like to do, and it's kind of awesome to see.
I can't wait to experience the full adventure. It's
When is
amazing.
baby due?
We're only about 11 weeks in right now, so we've got a ways.
Yeah, I got a ways. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I like to kind of like usually end with like a good lessons learned or a
Yeah.
book or something that you would recommend. So maybe for you, because I kind of want to hear about your biggest lessons learned since,
Okay.
starting the brokerage, the Remax brokerage in Belize and doing all the development stuff you do. Is there one
Yeah.
lessons learned that kind of like sticks out in your mind?
Oh, there's so many. Uh, in terms of lessons learned from a professional aspect, everyone thought I was crazy when I was moving to Belize. And I remember I would come back to Calgary for family dinners, and my family would say, "Why is a young guy like you, who's got a background in commercial real estate, why is he moving to
Hmm.
Belize for opportunity?" And
Yeah.
I would explain to them, because no one else is doing it. So we have
Oh my
no
gosh, I love
competition,
that.
and it's this beautiful place, and it's a blank canvas. So the biggest lesson that I've learned is just the power of taking action, but really knowing why you're doing it. So having a strong purpose and a strong why throughout the
Hmm.
whole time, because anything worthwhile is hard and
Hmm.
there's going to be
Oh yeah.
challenges on a daily basis. And as long as you have that reason, you're going to be able to overcome every little challenge, whether it's with a client or personally, or trying to
Hmm.
make everything work with the colleagues, or
Oh my
trying to
gosh,
navigate a
yes.
new country.
You're
But it's
speaking
been
my
the
language. I
yeah,
love
it's been the
this.
best adventure of my life. So that would be my answer.
You're always going to get hate. Like, there's always going to be people who think you're
Yeah,
crazy or people like questioning what you're doing. But you just got to follow your like gut or your like intuition and know why you're
100%.
doing it to your point. I like that. I think more people would be happier than
Yeah,
doing what they think they're supposed to do.
absolutely. It's
Do you go to conferences or is there any professional books or YouTube channels
yep.
or anything that has really resonated with you that you would like to share?
So in terms of conferences, we'll be at the Remax R4 conference in
That in
February. That's a big
Vegas?
one. It's in Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
So we go there every year. In terms of books, I'm gonna plug Will Mitchell in again. So he wrote a book called The Investor's Guide to Belize. That's by far the best published book. And
Mhm.
he's working on a second version as well that'll be out soon.
Cool.
So that would be my recommendation in terms of literature.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll be sure to link that within the show notes so that people can get their
Awesome.
hands on a copy along with how to reach you. I think what you're doing down
Okay.
there is super cool. And I love when people have passion. Like I call them zombie walkers. Like I look around and I'm like, Man, there's no like fire or spark. And I
Yeah.
love when I get to like meet people like yourself who are just like jazzed, like happy to be alive, pursuing what they like to do, the good, the bad, the ugly. So it's been an absolute pleasure
Oh,
talking to
thank you
you.
so much.
And I can't wait to continue to follow along. And you never know, I might convince my husband to do a family vacation.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's been a pleasure speaking with you too. And if you ever do want to come out here, the boat is gassed up and ready to go. And
Music to
just
my
to,
ears.
just to follow up on what you just said, in our office we have a big sign lit up that says "Every day is a gift." So
See, that is a get like gratitude. I told you I went for a run before this podcast with a girlfriend, and like we were talking about some health things that have come up for another friend, and tomorrow's not guaranteed. So you're
never
like,
is.
why not be happy today with what you have? So I love that. What a great quote to have in the office and a good reminder.
Yes,
Thanks so much, Trevor. We'll
amazing.
talk soon.
Sounds great, Amy. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation and exploring both current and predicted future real estate trends. Want to keep the conversation going? You can find us, FutureRE, on both Instagram and TikTok.